Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive, this time into stress,
Ooh, stress.
but not the kind you might be used to.
Okay.
We're going to tackle this universal experience through a lens that might surprise you.
Mhm.
Buddhist philosophy.
I like it.
Deadlines, difficult people, that feeling like you're constantly running on a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Stress is practically a given in modern life, right?
It certainly feels that way sometimes. But
Yeah.
what's fascinating is that Buddhism doesn't see stress as something to be eradicated.
Right.
Instead, it offers a radically different approach,
Mm.
transforming our relationship with it.
Okay.
Imagine not just coping with stress, but actually using it as a stepping stone to greater peace and clarity. That's what we'll be exploring today.
That sounds pretty revolutionary. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Most of us see stress as this negative external force,
Mm-hmm.
like it's something happening to us, not within us.
Right. That's the common Western view for sure.
Yeah.
But in Buddhism, the concept of dukkha, often translated as suffering or unsatisfactoriness, points to a different source.
Okay.
Think of it this way. Dukkha arises when our expectations of how things should be clash with the reality of how they actually are. That gap, that dissonance,
Yeah.
is where stress takes root.
So it's not the external event itself that causes stress, but our internal reaction to it.
Precisely. And that's a powerful shift in perspective
Hmm.
because it puts you back in the driver's seat. Instead of trying to control the uncontrolled, all those external factors, you can focus on understanding and transforming your own mind.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But let's be real for a second. Stress isn't just some abstract concept. We all know the physical and emotional toll it takes.
Yeah.
The headaches, fatigue, anxiety. You
Absolutely.
can't just meditate away a migraine.
Right. Of course not. Chronic stress has real consequences for our well-being, both physically and mentally.
Yeah.
But here's where the Buddhist approach gets really interesting. The more we resist stress,
Uh-huh.
the more we actually amplify it.
Wait, fighting stress makes it worse. That seems counterintuitive.
Think of it like this. When you tense up against something, you create resistance, and that resistance fuels the stress response. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater.
Okay.
The harder you push, the more forcefully it pops back up.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So if we can't fight it, how do we deal with stress in a way that actually works?
This is where the real beauty of the Buddhist approach comes in. Instead of seeing stress as the enemy, Buddhism encourages us to view it as a messenger, a signal knocking at the door of our awareness. It's an invitation to pause, to reflect, and to ask ourselves, what is this stress trying to tell me? What needs my attention?
So instead of pushing it away,
Yeah.
we lean into it.
Exactly. It might feel uncomfortable at first,
Yeah.
but that discomfort can be incredibly valuable. Let's say you're feeling overwhelmed at work. That stress might be a signal that your boundaries are too porous, that you're taking on too much, or that you've been neglecting your own well-being. It's like your mind and body are saying, hey, something's not right here. Let's pay attention.
That's a really interesting perspective. It's like we're being given clues, but we're too busy trying to silence the alarm to actually decipher the message.
Precisely. And one of the most profound messages that stress can offer is a reminder of impermanence, one of the core principles of Buddhist philosophy.
Okay, let's unpack that. What exactly is impermanence
Yeah.
and how does it relate to stress?
Impermanence reminds us that everything is in constant flux. Our thoughts, emotions, circumstances, everything, nothing stays the same, not even stress. It might feel like stress will last forever when we're in the thick of it, but that's just an illusion.
So even though it feels overwhelming in the moment,
Yeah,
stress is actually temporary.
exactly. It's like a river. Sometimes it's calm and serene, other times it's raging and turbulent, but it's always flowing, always changing.
I love that analogy. It really helps to visualize the idea that clinging to the idea of permanent stress is just setting ourselves up for more suffering. If we can accept its ebb and flow, maybe we can learn to ride the waves instead of getting pulled under.
That's a great way to put it. And Buddhism offers a wealth of practical tools to help us navigate those waves skillfully, tools that can help us move from a place of reactivity to a place of greater peace and resilience.
Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff. I'm ready to learn how to tame this stress monster. What are some of these tools?
One of the most powerful tools is mindfulness, or sati in Pali, the language of early Buddhist texts. It's the practice of being fully present in the moment, aware of your thoughts and feelings without judgment.
So it's not about emptying our minds or forcing ourselves to not feel stressed.
Not at all. It's more about creating space between ourselves and our emotions. Remember that river analogy? Mindfulness is like stepping back from the riverbank and simply observing the water flowing by. You acknowledge the current, the eddies, the debris floating along, but you don't jump in and get swept away by it.
So we're acknowledging the stress, but we're not getting tangled up in it.
Exactly. And that space, that ability to observe without judgment, is where we find freedom. The freedom to choose how we respond to stress rather than just reacting automatically.
Okay, I'm starting to get this, but how do we actually cultivate mindfulness? It still sounds a bit abstract.
It might seem that way, but it's actually surprisingly simple. One technique is called noting. When you notice a strong emotion arising, like stress or anger, you simply note it silently to yourself. This is stress, this is anger. You're not trying to analyze it, suppress it, or make it go away. You're simply acknowledging its presence.
So we're just putting a label on it.
Yes, and that simple act of labeling creates a bit of distance between you and the emotion. It's like shining a light in a dark room. Suddenly, the shadowy forms lose some of their power to frighten or overwhelm you.
Interesting. So instead of getting all tangled up in the emotion,
Right.
we're just acknowledging its presence.
Right.
What about the breath? I know that's important in a lot of meditation practices. How does that fit into all of this?
The breath is a powerful tool for regulating our emotions. In Buddhism, it's seen as a bridge between the mind and body. When we focus on our breath, we anchor ourselves in the present moment, which naturally calms the mind and creates a sense of stability. It's like dropping an anchor in a stormy sea.
Okay.
It might not make the waves disappear, but it keeps you from being tossed about uncontrollably.
So it's like a mini meditation we can do anytime, anywhere. I like that. Accessible and practical.
Exactly. A simple technique is to inhale deeply for a count of 4, hold for a moment, then exhale slowly for a count of 6.
Okay.
Repeat this a few times and notice how your body and mind begin to relax. It's a bit like hitting the pause button on the stress response.
I've heard of that technique. It's amazing how just a few deep breaths can really shift things. It feels like you're creating space for calmness to seep in.
It really can. And this practice of focusing on the breath, known as anapanasati in Buddhism, is much more than just a simple relaxation technique. It's a powerful tool for developing concentration and insight. The breath becomes an anchor, drawing your attention back to the present moment again and again.
So beyond just calming us down,
Right.
it's actually helping us train our minds to be more present and focused.
Exactly. And as your concentration deepens, you begin to notice more subtle sensations, thoughts, and emotions arising and passing away. This is where real insight begins to emerge. You start to see the impermanent nature of everything, including stress itself.
Okay, I'm seeing how these practices are all starting to weave together.
Yeah.
We're using the breath to become more mindful. And that mindfulness helps us see the impermanence of stress, which in turn helps us detach from it.
You're getting it. And the more we practice these principles, the more they naturally start to permeate other areas of our lives, like how we eat, how we interact with others, even how we approach challenges.
It's like mindfulness becomes a way of life, not just something we do for 10 minutes in the morning.
Precisely. And speaking of meditation, that's another powerful tool Buddhism offers for cultivating mindfulness and transforming our relationship with stress. Have you ever tried meditation?
I've dabbled, but I haven't made it a regular practice, to be honest. I always thought it was about emptying your mind, which seemed impossible and, frankly, a bit boring.
That's a common misconception. Meditation isn't about emptying the mind. It's about training the mind, just like you would train your body at the gym. It's about developing greater awareness, focus, and equanimity.
Equanimity, what does that mean exactly?
It's a state of mental calmness and composure, especially in the face of difficult circumstances. It's not about suppressing emotions, but about observing them without getting swept away by them. Think of it as mental stability or resilience.
Okay, that makes sense. So meditation is like a workout for our minds, helping us build those inner muscles of awareness, focus, and resilience.
Precisely. And just like with physical exercise, there are many different types of meditation practices. One that's particularly helpful for stress reduction is called metta bhavana, or loving kindness meditation.
Loving kindness meditation, that sounds intriguing. What does that involve?
It's a beautiful practice where you cultivate feelings of loving kindness and compassion, first for yourself, then for others. You silently repeat phrases like, may I be well, may I be happy, may I be peaceful. You can extend these wishes to loved ones, neutral people, even difficult people.
So it's like sending out good vibes. Does that really work?
It might sound simple, but it's incredibly powerful when you cultivate these positive emotions. You're actively shifting your mental state from a place of stress and negativity to a place of peace and kindness. And these positive emotions have a ripple effect influencing not only your own well-being, but also your interactions with others.
I like this, like we're actively training our minds to be more compassionate, both towards ourselves and others.
Exactly. And the beautiful thing about these practices with mindfulness, breathwork, meditation is that they're all interconnected. They support and enhance each other.
So it's not about picking and choosing, but about weaving these practices together to create a more holistic approach to well-being.
You got it. It's about cultivating a new way of being in the world, one that's grounded in presence, compassion, and an understanding of the ever-changing nature of reality.
This is all starting to make so much sense.
Yeah.
It's not about eliminating stress entirely, but about changing how we relate to it. It's about developing a mindset and a set of skills that allow us to ride the waves of life with greater ease and resilience.
Beautifully said. And the more we practice these principles, the more naturally they'll flow into other areas of our lives, like how we start our day, how we approach our work, how we care for ourselves, and how we connect with others.
Okay, so how do we actually bring these Buddhist principles into our daily routines? Where do we start?
Well, let's start with your morning routine.
Okay.
How you begin your day
Mm,
sets the tone for everything that follows.
right.
In Buddhism, the early hours are considered a sacred time,
Mm.
a time for reflection, gratitude,
Okay.
and setting intentions.
Okay, so hitting the snooze button 5 times is probably not the most mindful way to start the day.
Maybe not. Even just 10 minutes of meditation in the morning can make a world of difference. Find a quiet space, focus on your breath, and allow your mind to settle. It's like giving yourself the gift of a mental reset before the day's demands come knocking.
Yeah.
You can also use this time to visualize your day unfolding with ease and positivity.
I've heard about the power of visualization. It's like we're mentally rehearsing for a successful, stress-free day.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of journaling. Take a few minutes to jot down 3 things you're grateful for, big or small,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Gratitude is a powerful antidote to stress because it shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's abundant in your life.
That's a great reminder. Starting the day with a dose of gratitude sounds like a wonderful way to shift perspective.
It really is. You can also use your journal to set intentions for the day.
Okay.
Ask yourself, how do I want to feel today? What qualities do I want to embody? What do I want to accomplish? How do I want to show up for myself and others?
It's like we're creating a roadmap for a more mindful, intentional day.
Precisely. And remember, even on the busiest of days, it's crucial to build in mindful pauses throughout the day. Think of them as mini retreats, moments where you step away from the chaos and reconnect with yourself.
You mean those moments when you step away from your desk, take a few deep breaths, and just check in with yourself?
Exactly. Every hour or so, give yourself permission to stop, breathe deeply, and ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? What's happening in my body and mind? You might be surprised at what you discover.
It's like hitting the reset button on our nervous system before it gets overloaded.
That's a great way to put it. These pauses might seem small, but they're powerful tools for staying present and grounded amidst the whirlwind of daily life.
Okay, so we're starting the day with intention and incorporating mindful pauses throughout the day. What about meal times? I'm definitely guilty of scarfing down lunch at my desk, barely even tasting it.
It's so common these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
But rushing through meals just adds to our stress levels. Buddhism encourages mindful eating, savoring each bite, paying attention to the flavors and textures, and appreciating the nourishment you're receiving.
So it's about turning meal times into a mindful experience rather than just a fuel stop.
Exactly, and it doesn't have to take more time. Even just taking a moment before you begin to express gratitude for the food, for the hands that prepared it, and for the opportunity to nourish your body can transform a mundane meal into a moment of peace and connection.
I love that it's like we're elevating the act of eating to something more meaningful. And what about creating a more stress-free environment? Where does that fit in?
Creating a sense of peace in your environment is a powerful way to support your inner peace. This involves setting boundaries, saying no to energy-draining activities, and making space for things that nourish your soul.
It's interesting because sometimes saying no is actually the kindest thing we can do for ourselves.
It absolutely is, and don't underestimate the importance of simplifying your surroundings, both physically and mentally.
Okay.
Clutter creates stress, whether it's piles of papers on your desk or a to-do list that's a mile long.
So decluttering our space can help declutter our minds.
Precisely as you let go of physical things you no longer need. Imagine releasing the mental and emotional baggage that's weighing you down.
This is resonating so much. It feels like we're creating space for stillness, for awareness, for what truly matters.
You're getting it. And one of the most powerful ways to create that space is by spending time in nature. In Buddhism, nature is seen as a reflection of our true nature. Calm, expansive, ever-changing.
I've always felt a sense of peace when I'm out in nature. It's like my worries just melt away.
There's a reason for that. Nature helps us reconnect with our innate sense of peace and well-being. Next time you're in nature, try practicing mindfulness. Pay attention to the sounds, the smells, the sensations. Let the beauty of the natural world remind you of the beauty within yourself.
That's a beautiful image. Sometimes we get so caught up in our heads that we forget to connect with the world around us.
It happens to all of us. And speaking of being kind to ourselves, let's not forget the importance of self-compassion. We're often our own harshest critics, which just adds to our stress levels.
Oh, that's so true. I'm definitely guilty of that.
Buddhism teaches us to treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding we would offer a dear friend when you make a mistake or face a challenge. Instead of berating yourself, ask, what would I say to a friend in this situation? Then offer yourself those same words of comfort and support.
That's such a powerful reframing. It's like we're extending that same loving kindness we practice in meditation to ourselves.
Exactly. And as the day winds down, take a few minutes for evening reflection, review your day, but instead of dwelling on what went wrong, focus on what went well. What are you grateful for? What moments brought you joy? This helps you end the day on a positive note, which promotes restful sleep and reduces stress.
So it's like we're bookending our days with mindfulness, starting with gratitude and intention, ending with reflection and appreciation.
You got it. And during that evening reflection, you can also practice letting go of any negative emotions or experiences from the day. Visualize placing them in a box and setting it aside. You don't have to carry them with you into the night.
I love that imagery. It's like we're creating a mental ritual for releasing what no longer serves us.
Remember, a stress-free life isn't a life without challenges. It's about developing the resilience and wisdom to navigate those challenges with grace. Buddhism teaches us that stress, like everything else, is impermanent. It arises, it persists for a while, and then it passes.
So it's not about eliminating stress altogether, but about shifting our relationship to it. It's about cultivating a mindset that allows us to weather the storms and appreciate the calm waters, knowing that both are temporary.
Beautifully said. By embracing these Buddhist principles, you can transform your experience of stress, turning it from a source of suffering into a pathway to greater peace, resilience, and a deeper understanding of yourself.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. We've covered so much ground today, exploring how Buddhist philosophy can provide practical tools for navigating the inevitable stresses of modern life. The key takeaway for me is that a stress-free life isn't some far-off destination. It's a journey, and it begins with the willingness to cultivate awareness, compassion, and a deep understanding of our own minds.
And remember, you don't have to become a Buddhist or meditate for hours a day to benefit from these practices. Start with one small step: mindful breathing, a gratitude journal, a walk in nature, and see what unfolds.
So dear listener, we invite you to reflect on your own relationship with stress. What is it trying to tell you? What small step can you take today to cultivate greater peace and well-being in your life? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, that you find moments of ease and clarity amidst the ever-changing flow of life.